Pope Francis is one of the most prominent religious figures in the world today, and earlier this month he published an encyclical for Catholics worldwide outlining his takes on pressing social issues. In this document, Francis touched on things like movement across borders, human rights, war and fear, and the coronavirus pandemic. Roman Catholics make up roughly 9% of Georgia's population, which equates to about 950,000 citizens. His message is timely in the United States, particularly because of the election. But this question still remains. What sort of influence does the Pope have over Catholic citizens at the polls?
Do not let your politics guide your faith. Let your faith guide your politics.
Okay.
And so that's how I respond.
Father Wendell is the director at the Catholic Center at the University of Georgia, where he regularly performs homilies and discussion.
Most of what Francis has said, John Paul II said first. Mm-hmm. He just said it in heavier language. Okay, so the environment, the rights of people, immigration, all these kinds of issues. John Paul said the same thing. Benedict said a lot of the same things. It's just Francis is saying it in a language probably that more people can grab onto.
According to the Pew Research Center, Catholic voters in the U.S. tend to follow identical trends to all Americans. But Wendell said that there is something particularly different about this election that will guide Catholic consciences.
But there it's been more about the pandemic, and it's been more there about whether it was handled correctly or not.
And the Pope certainly has some influence over advocacy within the Catholic Church. Jana Hoffaker, the program coordinator for Justice and Peace Ministries at the Archdiocese in Atlanta, is already incorporating the Pope's message into her advocacy.
We may not have specifically done anything on Fratelli tutti yet, but at the same time, a lot of what's in the encyclical are issues and topics that Francis has brought up many times before. So a lot of the things that he's talking about is stuff that we've already been working on, like abolishing the death penalty in the state of Georgia.
But this advocacy does not mean that Catholic unity is always stronger than political ideology.
The Catholics, we kind of reflect the rest of American society. We don't hold any special key to unity, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So the same political ideologies that exist in general American society, we see them within the Catholic population as well. So those sort of divisions exist in both areas.
Wendell and Hoffaker both mentioned that Catholic citizens may not be getting the moral perspective that they need.
This is the same thing with papal statements as it is with bishop statements. It doesn't necessarily always trickle down as well as we would hope it would. Mm-hmm. And honestly, right now, some people might feel more connected to that sort of thing than usual because we have I don't want to say most parishes, but a great many of our parishes are streaming their masses online.
If we look at, for example, both Biden and Trump, neither totally reflect the teaching of the Catholic Church.
Common ground among Catholics may be hard to achieve when over half of Catholic Republicans describe Pope Francis as too liberal. Some of his messages might get lost in translation, but Wendell said that no pope will ever change the Catholic teachings.
Because the Holy Father, the Pope Francis, he didn't change any of the theology of the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. We still believe that marriage as a sacrament is between a man and a woman. But I think, the Pope is recognizing and is asking that we recognize civil unions for the protection of people.
Both Wendell and Hoffaker said that they ultimately want to achieve an environment for discourse between conservative and liberal Catholics.
Alex Miller, Grady, Newsource.